Breaking news. Britain, Russia warns, is playing with fire by purchasing F-16 fighter jets. Providing Ukraine with F-16 fighter jets has been called a unacceptable escalation of the conflict, and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has said that the West is playing with fire by doing so. Mr. Lavrov was quoted as saying, "It's playing with fire, without a doubt," on Russian television. Mr. Lavrov criticized this as an effort to weaken Russia by Washington, London, and their satellites in the EU. UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte met earlier this month and committed to forming an international coalition to aid Ukraine in its pursuit of F-16 pilot training and acquisition. US-made jets were allowed to be sent to Ukraine by Western allies after an agreement was reached with Washington. Defense Minister Alexei Reznikov wrote on social media for Kyiv Day that the city has become a symbol of Ukraine's unbreakable spirit and the Kremlin's failed imperial ambitions. Mr. Reznikov tweeted on Sunday, last night, Kyiv survived one of the largest Russian air attacks since the beginning of the war. They've been unsuccessful once again. Kyiv is still standing. They rejected you after only 3 days. After 459 days, they still couldn't scare you. They will ultimately lose. A high-ranking Ukrainian official has called NATO membership a key factor in bringing an end to hostilities. Ukrainian Presidential Administration Chief Andriy Yermak has stated that an invitation to join NATO can be a key factor in ending this war in Ukraine. Mr. Yermak stated that he believes inviting Ukraine into NATO can be a factor in ending the war in an interview with Voice of America. On February 24, Russia's aggression shifted the status quo. But the truth is this now. Sweden is making progress toward joining NATO, while Finland has already joined. Ukraine deserves the same treatment. Mr. Yermak added that Ukraine, while on the way to NATO membership, requires security guarantees. In terms of assurances of safety, you are aware that President Zelensky first brought up the topic of needing security guarantees in order to join NATO many months ago. Due to NATO membership being the primary assurance. NATO is the most powerful military alliance in the world right now. In Ukraine, Charles Moore, the people have been traumatized by sadistic violence. They are bloodied and confused. Of course, Jesus was responsible for the original feeding of the 5,000, but similar miracles still take place in modern-day Ukraine. Siobhan's Trust, a small British charity founded in Scotland and based in Lviv, is responsible for this. It is run by several men in kilts and Miss University of Ukraine 2017, about whom Charles Moore writes in this article. At around 10 a.m. every day, 3 lorries may appear in the middle of a Ukrainian town devastated by the Russian invasion and its aftermath. One will be donated by Sedberg School in Cumbria, with the inscription, "The Sedberg Wolf," on it, courtesy of the school's chief fundraiser, Józef Mikielski. St. James's Place, Financial Planners, also offers a product they call, the Gaza. It's Artemis that comes in at number 3. 4 are still in use, with Blossom, one of them, undergoing maintenance not far from Auschwitz. If a shell were to fall nearby, the shrapnel would be contained by the 3 sides of the square formed by these vehicles. The trestle tables, from which thousands of people can be fed, will take up the remaining side. At the French Open on Sunday, Ukrainian tennis player Marta Kostyuk was booed and jeered by the crowd after she refused to shake hands with her opponent, Arina Sabalenka of Belarus. Sabalenka, ranked second in the world, defeated the 20-year-old Ukrainian in straight sets, 6-3, 6-2, despite the fact that the Ukrainian had previously stated that she would not shake hands with the player because her home country of Belarus is a close ally of Russia. The 25-year-old Sabalenka stated, "Nobody in this world, Russian athletes or Belarusian athletes, supports the war. Nobody. We would put a stop to it if we knew how." Kostyuk, however, countered, saying, "She never says that she personally doesn't support this war, and I feel like journalists should change the questions that you ask these athletes because the war is already there. It seems to me that you should ask these players who they want to win the war, and I'm not so sure they'll say they want Ukraine to win." The Ukrainian athlete is one of the loudest voices speaking out against the continued presence of Russian and Belarusian athletes in the sport. Since Russia invaded her country, Kostyuk has refused to shake the hands of any of her opponents from Russia or Belarus.